Hello, everyone. This is Chrism, and I'd like to welcome you to this conversation about your Kundalini awakening experiences. This is part of the Kitchen Kundalini series of videos that I'm doing, and welcome. Welcome. In this conversation, I'd like to talk with you about your memory. Your memory will be influenced by Kundalini. So much can change in your observation and your experience of yourself and how your Kundalini manifests itself and how it begins to co-opt aspects of your brain. When you go into the divine merge, or you're even approaching the awakening event, like say if you're in the activation stage and you're areas of your life are changing, and all of a sudden you're interacting with entities, or all of a sudden you're hearing things, or all of a sudden your dietary needs are changing, your social needs are changing, you're either coming out of a dark night of the soul, or you're going into one. Many different qualities of life are changing from you. Your attitudes are changing. Everything seems to be in a state of change, and a rapid change for you within the Kundalini. And am I getting cut off here? Oh no. I hope not, but I'll go ahead and do this one. Let me know, ladies and gentlemen, if I'm getting cut off here or something's happening. Let me know. I'd appreciate it. So, as all this change is occurring, your brain is changing, and thank you, Tommy. Thank you. Your brain is changing, and its capacity to remember information is changing. So this is a video about Kundalini and your memory, how you remember things. Oh, that's weird. For some people, I get cut off and then come back again, and oh boy, jeez Louise. Well, all I can do is I just do it, Your ability to process information and to retain that information can be changed. It can be altered. And as that is being altered, you may not form the memory engrams that you once would have formed quite easily. As a child, you learned how to remember things. The engrammatic development within a child is really strong. And this is why kids can learn languages so well, and they're on a very large learning curve successfully. But as we age, things tend to change a little. We get set in our ways and how we remember things. And as the Kundalini comes up, we begin to change again. We change the way we process the information. We become the information. And sometimes the information that we become is not the same anymore. And because part of what we're doing, literally, half of what we're doing is controlled by divinity, no memory engram will be stored. Often, I'll do a seminar or I'll do a talk on the radio. Like when I had a radio program, I would do a talk and I would just stream the Shakti. It'd be stream. It's harder for me to stream Shakti right now, but I'm getting used to it. I'm making that adjustment for live video. So I would just stream the Kundalini, and thank God it was being recorded, because I would not have been able to remember any of it, except that I was there and something was said. So you've got to understand that your capacity for memory will be altered by the transformation into divinity. Divinity has no need for memory because what has occurred is always occurring. We have a need for memory because we live in a linear type of mental agreement. You know, we have a past and a present and a potential future. So what we did in the past equals how we are in the present, which can equal how we become in the future. So you went to work and you got paid. You are at work and you're earning that pay. And you will go to work and you will be paid. You see, divinity does not have that kind of constraint. The divine part of you that is, that is being activated and awakened, it always is, all the time. And so it's outside of our engrammatic programming. And by engrammatic, I mean engrams. An engram is a storage of memory, a memory, and it's like, I remember I'm doing these videos, so that boom, there, that engram has been developed. I remember it. I remember I did a video about Kundalini and the effect on devices, Kundalini and there's a word that's getting caught up because that was Kundalini. Okay, and so I was streaming the Kundalini, and so the memory will get altered. And while I'm talking to you in a linear way right now, my memory of certain events is not linear. It's very strange because it screws with your ability to remember specific words. I just finished the celibate, the Kunalini and being celibate, but I couldn't form the word celibate. I just couldn't form it for a few seconds there, and that's how it is. That's how it is. So you want to just trust. You want to trust that the more you come into grace, the less that you are part of this world. The more you visit the heavenly fields, the less you remember visiting the earthly fields. Okay? And yet you don't forget it completely. What is happening is there's a level of transformation that occurs. And it's during that level of transformation, which of course is the lifetime, certain aspects of the human memory system will be changed. And during that change, you will have difficulty remembering some of the things that occurred while you were within that divine infusion. It's a hard thing to explain to people. Let's see here. All right. Here we have it. Our memory is typically a linear system. We go in a straight line, right? Past, present, potential future. So within the memory aspect, we're just dealing with the present and the past. Heavenly fields are like this. So it's constantly occurring. And it's not easy. It's like, Neera is saying, but it affects my work, so how do I handle loss of memory? You ask your Kundalini not to have you visit the heavenly fields while you're at work. She's listening to you. She understands English or whatever language you speak normally at work. You know, it's a sacrifice that you're making. It's a sacrifice because you're losing time with your Kundalini evolution. But if you need the work to feed your family, to feed yourself, to pay the rent, whatever, then that's the sacrifice that you'll have to make. Later on, perhaps you won't get the option of making that sacrifice, and she'll keep you and keep you in the heavenly fields for a long time, and you won't be able to have that level of memory. But yes, it does interfere with aspects of the linear expectation of remembering everything that you did on this world. You have to remember that you are no longer just of this world. You are no longer just of this world. You are part of this world and the divine world. Okay, and so as the divine world comes into its equal 50-50 prominence within you, you have to learn to make a shift. A shift. A long time ago, I taught something called split viewing, and it's on the YouTube videos. You can visit that by going to Chrism Kundalini on YouTube, and there's about 350 videos there. And I think I made one on split viewing. Split viewing is just as a brief understanding. Split viewing is when you see with your physical eyes, and then you see with your divine eyes, or your, some people would call it the third eye. That is appropriate within this conversation too. As I look at the heavenly fields right now, I can feel the heavenly fields. I can see how they look to me, how they appear to me. And I can come back and I can see that I'm staring at this phone right now. Okay. But when I'm giving you information from Kundalini, when my divine consciousness is really focused on giving through the vocal structure, using the accrued vocabulary, bringing it into a matrix that you can understand, and realizing that I'm on camera and that it's being recorded, and all the different pressures and understandings that go with that. Some things will just not get recorded in your head. Some things, because the focus is really on presenting material from a divine source. The focus isn't really on me remembering how it was given or in what context, I guess, yes, but how it was given doesn't really matter so much as the fact that it was given. It is being given right now as I speak. And it's not just the verbal things that are being given. You're being given my radiance, and the radiance does travel on the video. It does travel through the internet. Most of the Shaktipots I give are long distance, and there is no interruption in the giving. I could be sitting right next to you, and with some of you I am. Okay. It's a powerful signal that comes through. Divinity has very few limitations. And so you are receiving it right now. You're receiving it. But even as I give it, aspects of my memory, like, is the wash done? Or even some of the things that I said, it's not important that I remember that. What's important is that you remember it. You remember it. But it can interrupt in the development stages, it can interrupt your memory. And if you're, if you're already suffering from a memory issue, that can exacerbate it even more so. It's harder to come into Kunalini later on in life when you're, 70, 80 years old. It's more difficult because you're also, dealing with aspects of physicality that are, adjusting to the greater age, and that also will have an impact on the memory system. The nice thing about that is that you have so much to remember already, and the divine memories, are fairly fresh, and so the nice thing about that is you can remember more of the divine than perhaps other people. Nira says, I need to learn for now. I'm really getting my answers, and I'm so grateful. Oh, well, you're welcome. Thanks to your Kundalini. You don't thank the cup that holds it. You just thank that which is within the cup. However, so you need to understand that your memory will be affected, and it's okay. Nothing's wrong. You don't have Alzheimer's. You don't have senility. You don't have some of these things. And even if you do have some of those problems, the Kundalini will begin to heal that anyway, if that is within your karmic matrix. Okay? So remember that. Remember everything I said. And if you can't remember it, hit that rewind button and watch it again. Thanks for watching, everyone.